Hello, this is Michelle with Michelle Bells Gaming, and welcome to week 3 of the Super Famicom Challenge. So, this week I decided to do a little follow-up to Halloween, and on Halloween night I streamed live Castlevania Dracula XX, the Super Nintendo port of the PC Engine Classic. And while the PC Engine version is indeed a classic, the Super Nintendo version is something else. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that, and also a little bit of progress on the Sailor Moon RPG. Hopefully, I'll have that finished soon, and I can show you the ending. So, let's get going! So here it is, Castlevania Dracula XX, the Super Famicom port of a PC Engine classic. This game was, indeed, a true classic in the PC Engine. It had everything. It had anime cutscenes. It had full CD audio. It had actual voiceover tracks. It had multiple paths. It had multiple characters. It had a great ending. It was just a good game all around. Sure, sometimes it was easy. Sure, sometimes it was a little easy to break, but it was a fun game. So what about this one, Castlevania Dracula XX, the Super Nintendo port? Is it a good game? I think the answer is, well, it depends on your knowledge of the series and if you like hard games that are hard for all the wrong reasons, because this is one of those games. The music is good, the graphics are fairly decent, but everything that was good about the PC Engine version is stripped down or just plain gone. The music has been ported to the Super Famicom fairly well, but the gameplay has not. It's a little bit slow, it's a little bit sluggish. You take a lot of damage, a lot more than you do in the PC Engine version, and the level designs are just awful. Someone took all of the quite decent, quite interesting levels of the PC Engine version and just, well, they just, I don't even know. It's as if really good gameplay got somehow funneled through a... Well, honestly, the best way I could describe it is take the original game and then take my hamster out of her cage, set her down on a touchscreen keyboard, and let her build the port of this game herself. And that's about what you would get. It's a mess. So what makes this game a mess? Well, I'll show you one of the reasons right here. No, that's not it. Yes, it's these guys. Now, these guys featured in the PC Engine version of the game as well. But there was something different about them in the PC Engine version. They were easier to kill. You didn't get knocked super far back, or at least it didn't seem like you got knocked super far back anytime you got hit by them. And perhaps it's just being able to play as Maria makes it feels different because she can do more damage to these guys. But these guys can block just about everything. Here's an example for you. I have an axe, and I'm going to use this sub-weapon to try and kill this thing. Except, hey, look at that. It can deflect them. Sure, that one missed. But as you can see, anytime it's spinning its spear, it has a chance of just deflecting sub-weapons altogether. Also, it can, at times, deflect your whip, which makes it really difficult to kill these guys, because they seem to just have this really annoying invulnerability, take way too many hits. Oh, and the game likes to put them everywhere. The other problem is that when they go to do their swing at you, it's very difficult for you to be able to get out of the range of them. Here's another problem with this game. This is the second boss of the game. Watch how much damage I do with the sub-weapons. Now that hit for a pretty decent amount, but then you'll notice that the next few hits just kind of don't. Sure, it's taking off a little bit, but when you look at how much damage it can do compared to how much damage I can do, this is pretty ridiculous for a second boss. You should only need to hit the second boss maybe 6 or 7 times. But as you can see, I've just hit this thing at least 8 times and done maybe half its health. let's say you do manage to beat the bat. Then you end up in this level. Now, this level has these spike platforms that you have to climb around and dodge, as well as Medusas. It's not terrible, but it's not exactly great. The other problem, though, is these bone pillars. Now, in the other games, the bone pillars can shoot forward, but no, these can shoot a big giant ball of fire, and they can shoot an arc flame, which makes it even more difficult to dodge them. And here you see they put a pitfall block right in front of one. That's just annoying. So let's say you beat that. Oh, and yes, more Spear Knights. That's just wonderful. Here we go. Let's try to kill this Spear Knight. Now, as you can see, they've gone and put a wall here so that I can't actually reach him. And at the same time that I'm doing that, there's another Spear Knight below who's trying to stab up at me. How do you beat that? So here's an interesting level. Basically, all you have to do is just climb to the top. Except, annoyingly, these platforms will fall apart if you stand on them too long. Now, this doesn't seem like a big problem, except what happens if you accidentally fall off or something and then the platform is gone and you have no way of getting back up? Well, as it happens, your main strategy to avoid this problem is, first, don't fall off. But also, you can go back down to the very bottom, climb back down the steps, and come back to the beginning. Oh, look! More Spear Knights. Now, these are called victory armors, and as you can see, they're kind of annoying. They have some lunging moves, but they're not too dangerous as long as you're really careful. They do, however, hit for quite a lot of damage. Their dash attack is problematic, but if you know what you're doing, you can get out of their way for the most part. A lot of times, you can just completely avoid them if you're careful with the stairs. But what you can't avoid is Larry, Curly, and Moe here. These three Spear Knights are annoying. If they get right up on you, you really can't get around them. And you have to try and kill them before they kill you. But then you come into another problem. If you do get out of the way and do kill these particular Spear Knights, well, then what happens? Oh, now you have to try and get across this without getting hit by the Spear Knight. Otherwise, you have to go back down and around to the lower part of the level again and kill Larry, Curly, and Moe again. It's very frustrating. So let's say you do manage to beat those Spear Knights. Then you get to this boss. Now, in the original PC Engine version, this was the second boss in the game, and while he's challenging, he's not at all unbeatable. However, in this particular version of him, he's extremely difficult. He's a lot harder to dodge, he hits a lot harder, and you have so much less ability to damage him. Also, he doesn't flinch or have as much knockback as he did in the PC Engine version, meaning that he can just go straight through some of your attacks, while in the PC Engine version, you could dodge them. Here we are in the Clock Tower, one of the Castlevania staple levels with Medusa heads and... Wait, why are there Spear Knights? Why are there more Spear Knights? This is just never ending. The game said, this is a really cool little enemy. We should use them more often, and decided to basically spam the entire game with them. And they are so frustrating, because they won't give you a chance to hit them, they won't move out of the way, they just keep on coming. The Clock Tower's boss is pretty cool, though. It's basically a girl who's being possessed by a demon. It's similar to one in the PC Engine version that was an optional boss, although this version kind of does a little bit different stuff with it. It's an interesting design. The eyeballs can float around and turn into other things like lightning or fire, as you'll see here when they start shooting lightning all over the place. Well, actually no, these are the homing ones. But after that you'll see the lightning ones. So the interesting thing about this particular boss, though, is that it's not overly hard. Surprisingly enough, compared to all the other bosses, all you really have to do is just dodge very well and try not to get in between the lightning. And you can pretty much do it with a combination of whip and sub-weapons. Sure, it's not perfectly easy, but it's surprisingly doable compared to all the other bosses that are just hard for no other reason than just to be hard. This one gives you a challenge, but it does kind of make you feel like you've earned it, and that's kind of a good thing. This level is interesting because not only does it lead to Dracula, it's also a loop. Here is Krusty McSkullhead, which is an annoying little dragon head that you can fight and try and kill. And normally you enter this room from the bottom part, but if you loop around, you can enter from the top. And part of the reason that you loop around is because there's food here. When you go down, you end up in this room with this crazy chicken skeleton thing. It's really kind of strange. After killing the chicken head thing, eventually, you end up in this room, which is full of Medusas and, you guessed it, Spear Knights. In fact, I went through this loop so many times that I ended up naming several of these enemies. Like, as you saw earlier, Krusty McSkullhead. All of those Spear Knights ended up having names because it was just too annoying going around this loop over and over again, trying to kill these enemies and get your way up without having to die or just keep fighting through the loop. You go around over and over again trying to get health and trying to get yourself ready. And since there's infinite time, you don't really have to worry about dying from time, so you just end up going around the loop over and over again, trying to get more food, trying to get more health, trying to get more hearts, so that you can hopefully beat Dracula. If you do manage to get through there, then you have to go through this part where you have to jump across pits, and there's also a Medusa head that comes at you. There's an invincibility potion if you can get it, and there's an axe armor on the other side. The goal of this is to try and get the invincibility potion and then use it to get rid of the axe armor. If you come through this door though, however, you run the chance of getting hit by the Spear Knight below you, who got the nickname Jingleheimer, because he kept killing me. Afterwards, you can fight Dracula! Oh my god! Why are there so many pits? Yes, this is Pit Dracula. He's a Dracula who, like every Dracula, uses the fireballs and the little whooshy black hole looking attack things. Except this time, there are pits here. Why? Well, because the PC Engine version had a really cool boss battle, which, although not super hard, was just more than the Super Nintendo could handle. And since the designers were lazy and/or hamsters, they decided that the best way to make this battle more difficult was to simply just put a bunch of pits here. What that means, though, is that you can very easily fall off. And so you have to hit this Dracula who takes way too many hits, while also trying not to get hit yourself. When you do actually manage to hit him until he's... oh wait, he's not dead. Now instead he's got this big giant demon form that floats around and shoots fire at you. And hovers right over your head and shoots more fire and will try and knock you off of the platforms or just kill you. Eventually though, I managed to really figure it out and get a good shot at it. Here you can see I take him down with my axes, and I intentionally made sure that he was on the left side when I killed him so that it would be easier for me to attack him. It becomes a lot easier, although still very annoying. You can jump up, throw axes, duck, dodge, and basically if you can get the timing right and make sure you have more health than he has attacks, you can eventually do it. Sure, it's annoying. Sure, it's tedious. Sure, it's really slow. Sure, he takes way too many hits. But this part is actually slightly more doable. And so Dracula, in a kind of bland cutscene, it's not nearly as interesting as the PC Engine version, just sees the morning sun and, well, I guess he just sort of fades away. It's an ending, I guess.